let's get started. So today we have...
I forgot to put this in efficiency.
Today we have the Ruger NXG APX by Umarex. And so this thing was not working a couple weeks ago, or days, however long it's been. When you would pump it up, it'd leak air out of the barrel or out from down here where your seals are. So
we thought a seal was broke.
we thought a seal was broke, but we didn't get around to it until just a couple of days ago. And we pulled the sides off, and when we were pulling the side of the receiver off, parts started falling out, broken parts.
And all these pieces are interlocked into the barrel and this, so they're kind of hard to get off.
Yeah, but a broken plastic piece fell out, and all the seals looked fine. Everything seemed to be fine, so we put it back together, and it worked. Like it would hold, it would make a little, but then it started working, and now it works just fine. Also, when we tore it apart, the safety, let's see if I can, down here, so this has automatic safety, and so when the safety's off and then you pump it, puts the safety back on. But there's a spring down here, and what it does is you have to push this button to get it to come off. Well, that spring shot out, and we don't know where it went.
And it's a lot louder with that spring.
And it's a lot louder, it's like a big... But now you can just barely... And it'll come off, and it's good. So we're gonna tear this apart, and we're gonna show you how to take it apart, get to the places you might need to fix if yours breaks, and then how to put it back together. So we're gonna start on that right now. Ahem. So for taking this NXG apart, or APX, all these screws are gonna have to come out. So you have two near the bolt, you have one under it, you have one up at the end of the forearm, you have two down by your safety. You have 4 right here, and on the other side you have 3 more here, one under the BB loading port, and then another one over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take those out. You just need like a standard Phillips screwdriver. I'll pull those out, and then we'll get to the next part of pulling off the side pieces. When pulling the screws out of the stock, you got to be a little careful because some these like to try and strip on you. And I just put them in a little container so you don't lose them. Pull the screws out, and it is feeling a little funky. So you can start by popping the front piece out, and they do interlock, but you just kind of wiggle. See? So there's your front forearm piece, and then this. So I think you had to, it can be kind of difficult, but you just kind of unpop these. You just gotta, they all interlock, which I don't know about. You have to pull the bolt back, actually. Kind of pop things out. It can be kind of difficult. You just got to be careful you don't break your plastic.
Because it's plastic, you know.
So see now the bottom, see? So those two pieces just came out.
Good old-fashioned plastic.
So then if you flip it around, you can see, so your stock fits in kind of like the daisies, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like the daisies. I'm talking behind the camera.
Right. So see, there you go. So now you have all your, and there goes the bolt piece. So now you have all your plastic pieces out, and here's kind of the main gun itself. So now you can, if you want to, you can slide your
barrel shroud, maybe?
Yeah, there you go. And it's got the sights on it. And then you got your actual barrel. And here's your bolt. Okay, so then here is where your air is pressured up. So now, well, you can take this whole bolt mechanism and trigger out. And doing that, you have this little screw here, and it has a nut. So we'll pop that out. Okay, so you got your little screw. You have to get it loose, and then it's got a lot of thread on it. Okay, there you go. And then yeah, there's that nut on the other side. What you can do is then take your nut, screw it in on the other side, then pop it out. That works pretty good. And then you can pull your whole... Okay, here we go. So now you got your
trigger system.
trigger system. And you got your safety that flops right here. And make sure this spring stays, that's pretty important. And you got your bolt. Nah, I'm not gonna do that, I'll edit that out. Okay, so what you have here now, you can pull this whole thing out also. You take this screw off the one side and this screw off. And this, you can take this off too, but it kind of just floats here, so you don't have to. So we'll pull these two screws out real quick. Okay, so we got those two little screws out on each side. And now what you can do is this. So this is actually a little difficult. You can, there.
Pop.
It just kind of pops out and pulls right out. So there you go. So that's part of the pressurizing system. So when you pull the trigger, I believe, and you can comment if I'm wrong, but in there's like a plunger, and when you pull the trigger, it lets that plunger flat, or I don't know, hammer, I think is what you would call it, and it'll smack this little pin, push that pin in, and that, I believe, this is what lets the pressure up into the barrel and forces your pellet out. So you got that little hole where the air would come in, because this seals up in here. This is actually part, right here is part of your reservoir. I don't know, you can shine and look down in there. But see, these seals, generally if it's leaking, these seals will need replaced. There's a whole bunch on that, and or
you just pop it
it's got a pin, so you would pop that pin out and pull those out. Well, which we're not going to do that, but if you need to, you would pop this pin out, and this should pop out, and you can replace all that. That's pretty much, like, we're pretty well torn apart here. There's not much more to tear apart on this because it's got pins and rivets and what other things are more difficult. But what I was going to tell you is, so down here, so this, would sit right here. Right down here, there was a spring and a little piece that would go in there. So you'd have to push this button with your finger to get the safety to slide off. And that was a pain, and it was super loud, and it scared the birds off when you're hunting.
No, so I would be hunting, and the guy behind the camera, he'd be like, oh, let me shoot. Donk!
So
the birds would fly away.
So there's a reason, and I'm actually kind of glad it flew away. It just went, boom,
Just
we
like
couldn't find it. So now we're going to try and put this back together. So first thing you would do is, I'm trying to make this video not too long and boring, but I feel like it is necessary to tell and show people how to do this. So you take this piece, and you probably want to clean it, but we're not going to right
paper
now.
towel? There's paper towels everywhere.
Well, I think you want this part to stay kind of lubricated. Slide that in. And then you got to make sure your holes line up. And then what you do is make sure your person's hand isn't in the way. Make sure it's up, and then you would just screw these two. Can I see that, please? Mm-hmm. Up. Okay, so now we got those screws in. This is secured. You got this holding your barrel. So now we're ready to put the trigger assembly. I guess that's what you would call it. Oh, the magnet's picking that screw up. You're going to want to need that. So then what this, you just, the magnet's actually pretty strong. Slide that in. And then once that's in, you're going to want to put your screw and nut in. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
That's why you don't want your pieces. So actually what you can do is you can actually keep this on the end. This is actually a pretty helpful trick. So then you can just put your nut down in there, unscrew it. You'd slide your screw up the other end, and then screw it up, and it should stay, or don't screw it up, but screw it in and make sure it screws into that nut. See how it's screwing into the nut now? And that's what keeps your whole trigger assembly from falling out. Just make sure you get it. It doesn't have to be over tightened, but it needs to be in there pretty snug. There. Okay, next, take your barrel shroud. So you just slide it in, it's not that complicated. You can't get your barrel to go through. You're gonna have to release this or unscrew this little screw up here on your muzzle, pop it off. That would seal it. So now this is gonna slide on right. See that screw? the screw hole there and there. So now you're on properly. So, and then you just make sure your barrel's right. So then what you'll want to do is, this is the part that can be confusing. Get your stock in place. Sometimes you need like 4 hands. So then you want to get your bolt handle, put it through your side receiver here, and then you can put it, see it's got a latch right there on top of that. That's how you cock your bolt. And this all, it's just supposed to go right together. Just kind of. You gotta slide this back. Get your safety in. And also, multiple things here. You're gonna wanna clip your forearm piece back in. So that's set right. And then you'll wanna flip it back over and make sure everything's going in right. It can be quite difficult. And then get your stock all the way in there. See how it's clipping together now? And slow that. Make sure your safety is in that hole. Also, very important. Let me see that. Very important. See this spring right here? See how it's not popped, or it's popped out? You want to push it down so it's resting on this little plastic thing. So then what you'll want to do is, assistant dude here, he's got the BB reservoir door.
Yeah, that's kind of
That
tricky.
falls out a lot.
It likes to fall out.
Because if it goes out, you got it.
So here, video me now. So you'll want to make sure your door is, also you take your forearm piece, clamp it on there, and just clamp, make sure your door stays in position there. And then that should clip there. Groove for the forearm snap. Usually that's a bad thing, but in this case it's a good thing. And you want your front to snap together, and then there you go. And then you'll just put this back on and put your little screw in, and then replace all screws, and you should be good to go. Oh, I think the most difficult part is getting all these pieces snapped together and then in the right place.
And figuring
So we're gonna put the rest of these screws in and then finish up the video. Another little plastic piece fell out of this gun. We're gonna see if it still works. We're gonna go chronograph test this and see if it gets close to what the Umarex says, and see if it works mainly, and show you how the safety is different and all that good stuff. And then we'll wrap this video up, and then you guys will be a pro. All right, we're loaded up with some 7.56 grain Gammo pellets. We're gonna pump this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're gonna see if it works. But watch the safety. You used to have to push that button. Now you can just, it's a lot nicer, honestly. All right, let's see what it shoots. 606.7
It
feet per second.
with those 8.6 8.
Well, let's do one more shot. All right, second shot. 611.
Yep, 611.
Okay, so I think it said it shoots 700 with lead pellets, 700 feet per second. So now it says it'll shoot 800 feet per second with the lead pellets, or 5 grain. I think it was 5 grain. Part of it's sticking up.
That's a blue
All right.
flame.
10 bumps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, here we go. You guys ready? So
719. That's almost 100, or that's 80 less than what Umarex says.
yeah, but it's still in good hunting range.
Bunch
I have
of
one-
liars.
I have
Are
one
you
more
sure?
alloy pellet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
7-11.
7-11. Okay. Seems to be working. Maybe shooting a little less than they say, but honestly, not that bad. And now we know how to fix it if it does break again. You just pull out the side thing, shake out all the broken pieces, put it back together, and boom, good to go. Unless your seals are broke off, then you probably need new seals, but those aren't too expensive. So, thank you for watching this episode of the Wild Bro Show. We'll see you next time on another video. Hopefully we don't wipe out before then. And thank you for supporting the channel. We'll see you next time.